Namaste, blessings, and Wakanda forever. So let us begin with a quote from Annette White, who says, "Each time you try something for the first time, you will grow. A little piece of the fear of the unknown is removed and replaced with a sense of empowerment. Each time you try something, or as Yoda would say, do or do not, there is no try. So each time you do something for the first time, each time you do something, you are practicing something. Wax on, wax off. Each time you wax on, wax off, you are practicing something, which means you are growing, which means you are fine tuning and honing, which then means a little piece of that non-life affirming fear is replaced with a sense of truth and empowerment and the audacity to know who and what you are." Yeah, it was a little bit of a Reverend Ray remix in there, but you get the point. So what is it that we are invited to do every day or little by little? When we think about, because that quote comes from the themes from last week. And last week, I don't remember where in the outline, it might be under, I don't know, somewhere last week in the outline, which you have access to clearly on the app and other such venues. I mentioned Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and Harvey Milk and Bayard Rustin, Elie Wiesel, and many folks. What did these people practice in the face of adversity and fear in order to become people that we know today? Why do we know the name Viktor Frankl? Why do we know that name? Why do we know the name Marsha P. Johnson? And if any of these names are names of people that you do not know, feel free to either research them or reach out to me and ask, Reverend Ray, who is Marilee Evers Williams? I'm not familiar with that name. I'm not familiar with the name. Okay, reach out and ask. Right? Okay, so what did these people do, though? Pedro Pablo Zamora. What did he do that makes him someone that we know today? Something other than being on the MTV's Real World. What did he do? What did Rosa Parks do? And not just that one event, consistently, what did she do that made her someone that we now recognize the legacy of? Anne Frank. What did she do? Because in looking at what they did, it gives us an invitation. It gives us an access point, an entry point to asking, well, what do I need to do? What am I invited to? Not need to do in linguistic convenience, but what am I invited to do in order to live, move, and have my beingness in a way that transforms not only my individual life and consciousness, but that of the collective as well, because that's the only way we're going to create a world that works for all. And in reference to this whole idea and this entry point to the transformation, it brings us to the theme or the title for this week, week number 3, February, week number 3. Our theme or our title is Pain Pushes Until Vision Pulls. Now, there are a lot of places we could go with that. But let us simply ask, what does it mean? What does it mean to be pushed by pain until pulled by vision? Is there a certain level of being comfortable in the pain until, is that why we refer to, sometimes people have to hit rock bottom before they can? Sometimes, depending on the individual, because not everybody needs to have that kind of pain or suffering, or there's going to be adversity. Such is the existence of life, right? There's going to be pain or discomfort. Exercising, studying martial arts, that's not something where you're like, ooh, I need to avoid the pain. Ooh, I need to avoid. No, but there's challenge that comes with fine tuning your body to be a dancer, a singer, to play the guitar because my fingers hurt. My fingers hurt. There's a certain level of discomfort. Oh wow, just whoo. So there's a certain level of discomfort. So not all discomfort, not all pain needs to be eradicated. But it's having a level of discernment where I know this pain completely unnecessary at this point, and so I will allow vision to pull me so that this may be reduced or eliminated. What kind of pain do we experience in this thing called life? There's physical pain. Some of it is part of the process of, if you're going to run a marathon, there is pain that your body is going to experience in order to train your body to run a marathon. That is not pain. That is to be eradicated or eliminated. Your body needs that. You put your hand on a hot stove, your body, the nerve endings needs to, ouch. That pain is necessary, a biological byproduct of being human. But there are other pains. The pain that comes from sadness and grief, the pain that comes from anger and resentment, the pain that comes from racism, sexism. It's the pain. That's the pain we are invited to address individually, within our own lives and our own selves, in our relationships, and collectively. What is the vision that we are being pulled into? When we talk about a world that works for all, are we talking about a world devoid of pain? Once we are in a world that works for all, I will never need to cry again. Yes, my mom died, and I do not need to cry, for I am not sad. Is that what we're talking? No. There should still be grief if we're still human, if we are still loving, caring individuals. But once again, it means that the grief doesn't consume us. We feel it. It doesn't mean the fear, it means the fear doesn't consume us. The anxiety doesn't consume us. It may still be present, but the vision still pulls. In our Declaration of Principles, number 5, we believe the ultimate goal of life to be a complete emancipation or complete liberation from all discord of every nature. Now, the discord, and certainly, and we are sure that this goal will be attained by all. Let me give you the full quote. Discord. The discord that Dr. Holmes is referring to is the non-life affirming discord. There is divine discord that is what makes a painter paint, a dancer dance, that makes the poet, makes the poet poetry, makes the poet write poetry or speak poetry. It is the creative. Divine discord is normal, natural, and to be encouraged. But the discord that comes from animosity, the discord that comes from inequities and injustices, the discord that comes from that can be healed. That can be reduced and or eliminated. And that's the practice. But we discern, well, what is and what isn't, what can and what can't. What is mine to do and what isn't mine to do. Dr. Holmes invites and says, everything that is wrong, Yeah, I got to breathe on this one. We're going to do a remix. Everything that is wrong in our experience, whether we call it pain, sickness, poverty, or unhappiness, is a denial of the allness of God. Now, I have seen people use this to bypass. If you're in pain, you're denying the allness of God. If you are poor, it's because you're denying the allness of God. If you're sick, because someone reached out to me when I got diagnosed with prostate cancer and accused me of denying the allness of God, which is why, yeah, exactly. Now, what exactly is Dr. Holmes referring to and inviting us into with this? One, it would be recognizing what is it that we are experiencing within the realm of the pain, the sickness, the poverty, the unhappiness, the whatever it is. What is it that we are really experiencing? Because these are words. If I just simply say the word pain, you don't know what I'm talking about. You know, I'm in pain. Okay, what I don't know what that means. But when I get my shoulder is in pain. Okay, it's a little bit. My shoulder every so often gets this sharp, piercing, penetrating, stabbing. Oh, you getting really specific, right? Yes. When we're talking about sickness, what are we talking about? When we talk about unhappiness, what are we talking about? When we talk about poverty, because someone can have a poverty mentality and someone could be poor in their relationships and someone can be poor financially. It's all kind of, oh, poor Ray. He never did get that art commission and he never did get that Oscar that he won. Oh, poor Ray. What? Okay, poor. These are words. But there's an energy back of the words. And it's the energy that is back of the words that we are invited to step into so that we understand when we are talking about discomfort, when we are talking about transformation, when we are talking about the comfort zone and the growth zone, and when we are talking about all of these things, let's get more specific so that we know exactly what we're talking about. Because when we have greater specificity, then we have greater possible application. And that possible application then becomes probable application, that then becomes inevitable application. And in that inevitability, transformation occurs. It's no longer, well, it's possible. Maybe. It's, oh no, it is, it will. But we are invited to have that level of clarity to discern once again, what is it that we are referring to? So what pains and discord do we experience in this thing called life? Is war a form of discord? Is war a type of pain? Is war a type of sickness? A dis-ease? Is war a type of disease, dis-ease? Well, what else? What else? Homomisia, transmisia, Islamomisia? Are these also? And if they are types of diseases, diseases, illnesses, sicknesses, then what is the spiritual vaccine? What is the science of mind and spirit vaccine? What is the vaccine of spiritual principle and truth that we are invited to bring to this dis-ease so that it may be healed, rendered inert, and eradicated and made extinct? How do we do this? Where do we get the microscope of life and place on the slide the consciousness of and look through to be able to identify what's causing this as a symptom? What's causing the outpicturing of this? Rather than being, oh, I'm uncomfortable. I don't like talking about it. I don't like looking at it. I don't. I would rather just kumbaya, my lord, kumbaya, kumbaya, my lord, kumbaya. I don't want to look at it. I don't want to see it. I don't want to. I just want to hold hands, sing songs, and fake it till we make it. That's not going to change war and violence and hate crimes and poverty. And it's not going to change food deserts. That's not going to change any of that. We have to anchor into, who am I being? Bayard Rustin. Who am I being? Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Who am I being? Malcolm X. Who am I being? Reverend Dr. Pauli Murray. Who am I being? Viktor Frankl. Who am I being? Harvey Milk. Who am I being? And therefore, what am I doing? Who am I being as an incarnation of God, as an individualized expression of the one? That's what I'm being. Then now what does it call me to do? And in the doing, how do I address the pains, the discomforts, the sicknesses, the illnesses, the discords, the disenfranchisements, et cetera, that show up in this thing called life? I may not like it. In fact, I shouldn't like it. I may not like it. I may not want to look at it. It's gory. It's painful. But if I don't look at it, and I mean really look at it, then how do I ever change it? How do I step into and allow the vision of a world that works for all to pull me into? Like, I love the fact that Walt Disney referred to the artists and whatnot, the folks, as Imagineers, engineers of the imagination, especially when Neville Goddard referred to the imagination, or referred to imagination, as another name for God. Imagination and God are synonymous terms. They mean the same thing. So then an Imagineer then becomes an engineer of one's godliness, of one's divinity. How am I engineering the divine to create greater equity and justice, to create food, healthy, nutritious food for all, homes for all who desire to live in a home, and a safe, healthy, and effective home? How do I engineer the divine to create peace on earth, goodwill to all? How do I engineer the divine to restore this awareness of oneness? That our indigenous siblings, through time immemorial, understood this and knew there is one. Yeah, maybe called by separate names, but it's one. And they understood this and still understand it, even though the effects of colonization have in many ways infiltrated. There's still a deep understanding. How do we restore the awareness, even within our own selves? How do I restore the awareness that which God is, I am? God is love, I am love. God is wisdom, I am wisdom. God is, I am. So that the vision, ever evolving consciousness, ever expanding consciousness, is what I'm pulled into. And as I'm pulled into it, I have to change. Remember, was it last week or the week before when I mentioned Dorothy, and she went from sepia to full on Technicolor? Well, when she opened the door and she stepped out and everything around her was Technicolor, she wasn't still the same color she once was. She transformed and became colorful. So how do we, as Willy Wonka sings, come with me and you'll be Traveling in a world of my creation. Take a look and you'll see into your imagination. We'll begin with a spin. Traveling, right? How do we step into it? If you want to view paradise, simply look around and view it. Anything you want to do it. Want to change the world? There's nothing to it. There is no life I know to compare with pure imagination. How do we allow this vision to pull us to such a degree that we view paradise, a world that works for all, equity and food for all, love and nurturing and community and relationship for all? That our presence, knowing and being the infinite and absolute in our awareness of knowing and being and doing, that it immediately transforms those and awakens those who don't know, those who would fall under the auspices of racist, sexist, what others call homophobe, that our presence, our awareness, our light, the living as the very embodiment of the vision, our presence pulls them, that they don't even need to be captured by the vision. Our presence pulls them. Our presence taps them and awakens them. That it's like we give up, like our aura, the scent, that just being within our very presence, they feel it and are quickened to change and transform as well. How do we practice that? Well, one, it means being present to our own pain and discomfort, being present to our own fears, being present to our guilt and shame that we have carried and may still carry, like Jacob Marley carrying chain upon chain, yard upon yard. Let it go. But we can't let it go, quote unquote, if we're not aware, if we're not present. Breathe. So as we end, like, let's use this week to recapture the vision. What does it look like? What does it smell like? What does it taste like? A world that works for all, greater equity and justice. What does it look like for me to have the freedom and the capacity to live my best life? Ask yourself that. And look around and find, where are the places where that freedom is denied, that access is denied? Which conversations? Who are the people that tend to shut me down and try to shut me up? Even when it's not words, my light, my presence, they try to shut it up and shut it down in very various ways. You know, we know how people do this with very, insidious, oftentimes completely unaware of them, but these biases that it's like the Chinese torture of death by 1,000 cuts. They say these little things, or they do these little things that we know what it means is, hush up now, turn that light down. You're shining too bright. You're being a little boastful and a little proud, and you're arrogant. Exactly. Now go sit down in a corner somewhere. I don't want to see you. Breathe. And give yourself the grace to say no. No, I will not dim my light this week. I will not dim my love. I will not dim my awareness that that which God is, I am. I will not dim that this week. I step into the vision. I allow the vision to pull me. I pull myself as the embodiment of the vision into the next and the next and the next, ever evolving and ever expanding consciousness, ever evolving and ever expanding vision as consciousness. And the next, and the next, and the next. Namaste, blessings, and love and appreciation. And I will see you next week. It's the end of the month. It's the end of February already. Reverend Amani will be back soon. Love y'all.